Hey traders, just going to bring to your attention a potential sell opportunity on pound NOK on the weekly time frame. This is a contrarian trade. We're going against the overall trend, but we do have sight of what could potentially be the first obvious lower high, and if it is the first lower high in what could be a downward trend, then we have a very good entry. We are at a level here, a soft level of resistance here in the weekly time frame, around about 12,184. And last week closed as a bearish pin bar reversal, so it makes sense if this is indeed a shallow pullback. Remember, it is coincided with the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement, which does signal a shallow pullback, and if we are going to be taking advantage of a fast moving market, then a shallow pullback, the smaller the pullback, the better it is. And on the weekly time frame, last week closed almost as a bearish pin bar reversal. We could combine this as a hammer, but what is interesting on the smaller time frames is the fact that we've got an inverse head and shoulders, and this is what is crucial to this setup. Inverse head and shoulders, left hand shoulder, head, right hand shoulder. This week did actually take out the high of last week, but that's absolutely fine. You can see that it's rejected it more crucially, and it's all the way back down to the bottom, and this is no small measure down to the fact that the pro-Brexiteers are inching ahead of people wanting to remain in the European Union. And like we've talked about at length before with trading the British crosses, if we do have a Brexit, then it's likely the pound is going to fall rather substantially, as will the FTSE. So there's 50-50 really of it happening or not, so it makes sense to risk small, like 2% maximum of your trading account, and get in on this wave, which could be potentially very lucrative if the British public do vote for Brexit, and we can take advantage of this momentary pullback here, which has been taking place over the past 4, 5, 6 weeks, and essentially selling the rally in a downward trend. So how are we going to trade this one? Well, all we're going to do is simply place our entry below the low of last week, stop loss above the high of last week. It can be above the high of this week if you prefer, it's entirely up to you. Bearing in mind, if price does come back and take out the high of last week, or indeed this week, then the setup's invalid anyway. So that is the idea for the British pound versus Norwegian krona. First target, the previous swing low. The second target, a new lower low. I would be tempted to, if as and when we reach the first target here, we can simply just move our stop loss to break even and scale out, buy back half the profits. So that is the British pound versus Norwegian krona. We've got our orders placed for this one. If by the time this comes out to you, get this price has already moved past the point, then you could still get into the order by simply placing a limit order, so if price does come back to test the neckline of the head and shoulders. So if indeed this breaks, this level here breaks, and price goes down and then retests it, then we can reasonably expect this to be a continuation to the downside, and you can subsequently benefit from the trade. Okay, so that's pound NOK.